Welcome to the Just Be a Man podcast. Please note, this podcast is for entertainment purposes only. Each individual is providing their own independent opinion. Follow, like, subscribe, and comment at Just Be a Man 2020 on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or YouTube. Also, expect new content every Wednesday on Spreaker.com or your favorite podcast app.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. I am Stefan DeVille, leading today's episode. If you listened to our podcast before, our panel consists of 5 gentlemen who have been friends for over 30 years and have a wealth of experience surrounding them. Today's topic, June 14th, which it happens to be the U.S. Army's birthday, 200 and some odd years. I can't tell you, but I am a retired guy from the Army. But it's Sunday, June 14th, and we still need to have a discussion, America and the world. Today's topic will be racism in America around the world, part 2. So if you listened to our podcast previously, we discussed racism, how it affected us, the things that we have experienced, as well as, certain solutions to counter racism and move America as well as the world forward. During our last episode, unfortunately, we didn't have one of our team members available to, kind of harp on or enhance on his experiences as an African American male. So we'd like to take the opportunity to have our friend and confident Chuck talk to us talk to us about his experiences with racism, as well as what he's done to prepare himself, his family, and those around him to be aware that we have a problem, America, and we need to find a solution quickly. Chuck?
Hey, how's everybody? First and foremost, I want to say thank you to all of you guys for allowing me to be away and take some time, the much needed time I needed to take care of my family. For those of you that don't know, I had a situation in my family, and it was just one of those situations where we had to take a little time, come together as a family. We have done that, and we are moving forward. So once again, guys, I just really want to, from the bottom of my heart and from my family, I want to thank you guys for being there. All right.
Hey man, great to have you back, brother.
No doubt. Welcome back, brother. Welcome back.
All right. So now let's talk some shit. All right. So yeah, I grew up in a neighborhood that you guys have probably heard me talk about. You may have never been there, but it's a place in Silver Spring called Tamarack. Tamarack was I grew up there in the I'm a 70s baby, late 60s, early 70s baby, and that neighborhood at that time was an anomaly, meaning that it was very culturally diverse: white, black, Hispanic, Muslim. I mean, you could find everyone there, and we all got along. It was this beautiful little microcosm. And to this day, if you tell somebody that you say, "Hey, man, I grew up in Tamarack," it doesn't matter who you are, what year you left there, the whole 9 yards. If you say you're from Tamarack, you're regarded as family. That's how tight knit that community was. So racism for me early on was foreign, until people that, I guess, we got a little older, and people from other neighborhoods started coming into our neighborhoods that we didn't know and stuff like that. And my earliest recollection was we were sledding one time, and again, diverse group, white, black out there, but there was a couple of people from another neighborhood, and we were sledding, and it was my turn. I went down, and I crashed and burned. I got hurt, whatever, nothing major, stuff we do when we're kids. But this white guy from another neighborhood made up a song right there on the spot. That's what you get when you're black. I was like, wait a minute.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you remembered that. That's the key.
I will never, ever forget that. Now, I think we were all kind of collectively shocked, but it still didn't really register. And you would have thought that the way he said it, he kind of let it go. And the response that he got, he kind of let it go. Nah, I kind of got up and brushed myself off, and I just, I didn't respond. He did it again. I guess that's what you get when you're black. Then it just clicked. The racism portion of it clicked. This dude's really doing this, right? So I walked up to him and I just had to know, is that what you meant? Are you? I can't tell you it was so long ago. I can't tell you what I said, but in a nutshell, he confirmed the fact that, yeah, that's what niggas do. They crash and burn. Well, okay. It looked like a hunting scene out of there, with all the blood in the snow by the time I was done. But, and I'm not condoning violence, but that was my earliest recollection. I had to beat up some dude because he decided it was cool to, but he didn't know our neighborhood. He didn't know how close knit we were. So then fast forward, I leave that neighborhood right after high school. And this is surely when me and Charles meet up. And Charles, you remember the incident at IHOP?
I don't. Remind me, brother. What happened?
Okay, so we went to, I want to say, I think you were there. I know definitely Tony was there, another brother, a friend of ours. I won't mention his last name, but it was me. I believe it was Tony, another friend of ours. I want to say his name was Nick, and Charles. And we went to IHOP after a go-go, a party one night in Riverdale IHOP. Come on, man. Everybody went to Riverdale after the skate parties and all that. The rolling rink in Riverdale.
Yes, sir.
So we were there. It was like 2-3 in the morning, something like that. And there were some kids in there and they were being rowdy, but it wasn't us. We were in there. It was 2-3 in the morning. We were, probably inebriated, whatever. But we were, we understood, being from Prince George's County, Maryland, you can only cut up but so much. So, and we knew that. And we were cool, we were respectful, to the point I believe even our food came. But the managers called and said, some kids are being unruly. So the police came and didn't stop to talk to the manager, didn't stop to observe and see who might be the unruly ones. They walked straight in, came to our table and said, you 3 fuckers come outside. You 4 fuckers come outside with us. I'm like, what? Does that start to sound familiar, Charles?
Yes, sir, it does.
Okay. So now we outside and they saying to us, hey, we got a call. We got to come out here for you black motherfuckers. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. It wasn't us. We're trying to plead our case, but then it becomes crystal clear that we need to shut the fuck up because it didn't matter what we had to say. I mean, they came with a mission, they came with a purpose, and they came to clean house, tidy up, and get on.
So this is 1980 PG County, right? Police, right?
PG County. So I'm not the mouthiest one in the group, and I normally, to look at me now, I guess you could call me the militant one and the one that might stand up for rights and this, that, and the other, but not then. It was Prince George's County Police. I was out of my element. I just wanted to go home. It's like we say today to our kids, survive the experience. That's what my mindset was. But it didn't matter because my face still ended up on the hot hood of that police cruiser, because mind you, they had just gotten there, right? So it was still warm. And we just had to endure these people telling us how low class and stupid we were and we need to straighten up, yada, yada, yada. Just then, manager comes out and says, oh, wait, wasn't them. It's these guys over here. But now the guys in there, I mean, they got a case to act right because they're looking out the window of us getting our ass whooped. Mm-hmm. Right? So that's like one of my second incidents. And after that, you would think that I would never become a police officer. And truth be told, that's one of the incidents that I really had to come to grips with because I told myself that, why am I becoming a police officer? And it was, in my mind, it was to serve my community, the greater good, the whole 9 yards. And I said I would never be like that. And I wasn't. But, those are 2 of my stories. I mean, I think we've all have collectively the same kind of stories. I mean, even into my, my adult years, not being seen as someone's equal in the workplace, not being seen as, someone's contemporary, having to always prove myself. It got to the point, it was so, even at my agency as a police officer, I ended up becoming the chairman of the Fraternal Order of Police, twice elected. But most people wouldn't know that, I didn't do it necessarily because I wanted to make a change or a difference. I got involved with the police union to protect myself because um, the members of the white staff were coming after me, and they felt like they had to put me in line, put me in place. And it got to the point where I had to, learn the rules and regulations in order to defend myself. So that's how I got started as a shop steward. And then I ended up becoming a police chairman and did everything in my power to give them help, for giving the officers help. And so if you were to ask me, does systematic racism exist all day, every day, in every facet of our society? So that's my opinion. And I think the second part of that question was, wow, that was just the first part. I think the second part of that question was, how do I prepare my children for racism today? And how do you prepare anybody for getting punched in the face? I mean, seriously, how do you? The only thing you can say is, keep your guard up. Here's some of the tricks. Here's some of the things that my parents taught me, that their parents taught them, and now I have to pass on to you. Because unfortunately, a lot of the same systems are in place, a lot of the same racism exists. But, I see hope now. I see hope in my children because of some of the things I've passed on, and just the values that we've all passed on to our children. We have a movement going on right now, and that movement is led by the younger generation that are tired of the conditions that our forefathers had to bear, our parents, our parents, us, and our kids are saying, "Nah, man, we're not gonna. This isn't the world we want to live in. We want to live in a more inclusive society." And God bless them, more power to them. I hope to see it in my lifetime. I do believe from everything that's happening, there will be some systemic changes. How far these changes go, don't know. But one of the things people have to realize in this country, that when it comes to politics and when we make changes, if one party's for it, the other party's either kind of for it or not for it, those policies have a tendency not to stick around. So we need bipartisan policies to be put in place for things to change. So let's hope that our kids are able and up to the task to make that happen.
Okay,
Indeed.
Chuck, I really appreciate that. Definitely deep insight. Um, Charles, what do you think about the messages that the president sends out? Um, some of his discussions of saying, what do you have to lose? Black people, what do you have to lose if you vote for me? Or better yet, let's look at the upcoming Tulsa rally that's happening. Originally scheduled for June 19th, which is a symbolic day for the African American community. What do you think about his messaging and how it's affected race relationships in this country?
Well, I mean, it's no coincidence that the number of hate crimes have surged ever since number 45 came into office. And it's obvious that we have a problem, and part of our problem is him and the leadership or lack thereof that he provides to this nation. He's extremely divisive. He uses language that just, it doesn't unify people. It creates fear, and it creates a system whereby folks are just completely and totally divided like never before. This president has a unique opportunity, and that is to really step up and help bring this country together. He did not win the popular vote, yet he continues to just speak totally and completely to his base. And unfortunately, a good portion of his base um, are racist. And if he doesn't know that by now, then he doesn't want to know it. That's it. Period. End of story. He has absolutely no interest whatsoever, from what I can tell, in bringing this country together. And so it really, as Chuck said, it's going to be up to us. It's going to be up to our kids. It's going to be up to this entire nation to come together and finally bring forth some unification where we can get some policy change, some laws change, get to the polls, things of that nature, because something has to give. Number 45 is not the answer.
Appreciate that. And I do agree. 45 has been very dismissive. And I look at Make America Great and the syndrome that he's created with Make America Great, because you've got these Karens just losing their minds, um, which way and every way. So, Mike, what do you think about the race car driver that decided he just wasn't going to participate anymore in NASCAR because NASCAR has made a stance with Black Lives Matter? And what do you think about sports teams, and their quote unquote stance on racism?
I think they all have a choice. They have a choice to figure out what they want to do, and if they want to follow through with it, they do. If they don't, I mean, everybody has that choice, and they just have to be consistent and make sure people are held accountable. There's some type of moral leadership, and to turn that positive, the anger and pain that they have to deal with when dealing with these situations into some constructive energy for change.
Okay. And I just thought about it. We know the Knicks are not going to the playoffs, but Wayne, what do you think about the shortened NBA season, and should they play? Because I think it was Steven Jackson basically said that we shouldn't play the season. We've got bigger issues. What do you think about that? Even though the
Wait, wait,
Knicks
wait,
won't
wait.
go to Orlando,
Who we
I
talking
think
about? Who we talking about?
the NBA.
All right. First of
Oh,
all,
I thought you said the
first of
Knicks.
all,
Yeah, I did bring up the Knicks.
I thought you said they went to the playoffs. I'm sorry. I'm
Not this year.
not. Okay, all right, my bad.
see the hate I got to endure. You see this hate? So listen, that's funny. Thank you, Steph. I recently got a good understanding of how the continued NBA season is supposed to work or scheduled to work. And yes, the Knicks are not in it. And by the way, the Wizards are on the bubble, so don't get too excited. Anyway, so anyway, so right now I think that the NBA has done everything they can do to try to keep everybody safe, right? So it sounds like there's a bunch of precautions and things that are in place. But the question is not about being quarantined in Orlando for a period of time where no family, friends, and stuff like that can come in. I think from what I'm hearing, the Players Association, what they're trying to understand is, should they do it? And the question is, do we make a bigger stand by going on the court, maybe kneeling, maybe doing something while we're playing, or is it a bigger statement to say, nope, I'm not doing it? Which is the bigger statement? I think that's what they're kind of mulling over, from my understanding. So I think that does that answer your
Yeah,
question?
it does. But I think, well, this is me personally. I think if they don't play, it sends a bigger signal, because there's money involved. They're willing to go, not get paid technically. Um, Go ahead, Wayne.
But let me just say this, and I'll let you go, Charles. So I think that's the debate, right? So I think if you say, "Hey, I'm not going to do this," and the NBA is going to suffer because we're not going to play, and you're going to get no TV revenue and none of this and none of that, that does send a message. But who's seeing that? You know what I mean? So if you get an opportunity to say, "Hey, they're going to do a shortened 8-game season, and then they're going to go straight into the playoffs." So now you have the opportunity for every single one of those games, which is supposed to start around the end of July, July 31st, and go into the middle of October. So that means you have that period of time, great time leading up to the election, where you have an opportunity to say something every single game, remembering that they're playing in one arena. So they're going to have to play one after another, right? So it's not like they're going to be simultaneous games. So people have been without a sports for quite a while. You got some of the best players in the world that are still playing, even though the Knicks aren't. They will still have an opportunity to get out there in, whether it's a T-shirt that they're wearing, that they're all wearing united, whether they're doing something during the national anthem. I don't know what the process is, but I'm saying that's the debate that I understand that's going on. I don't know. And you did mention Steven Jackson before, and I know he showed up before with the George the George Floyd situation, some sort of connection
Yeah,
to the family. I'm
he
not
was
sure what
best
that
friends
is.
with George Floyd. I think they grew up together in
I,
Houston.
Okay. Okay. So I have seen him, and I I like him, Steven Jackson, but it's his opinion, right? He's not in that mix right now. He's not a current player. So I mean, he knows these guys and he probably has insight. But I mean, I just think it's one man's opinion. But as you said, if this is a good friend of his, he's really, really close to the situation.
Okay, Charles.
Yeah, as far as the NBA is concerned, first and foremost, I think they have a captive audience, of course, because we've all been quarantined for so long. So this is a prime time opportunity for them to get out in front of the cameras with the captive audience and really put forth some positive messaging around what's going on in this nation. So I think the bigger sort of picture can be put out there if they decide to play, to get out there on the court and to show their support for what's going on. But beyond that, looking at the NFL, for example, they recently came forward, talked about, well, now we're going to permit kneeling, so players can get out there, they can kneel in protest, so on and so forth. But the bottom line is, as far as the NFL is concerned, is that they really need to go beyond symbolism. It starts with taking action, and it's time to put action behind their words. It's like, allowing players to protest is not enough. They need to do something about uh, black head coaches in the NFL. They need to give Colin Kaepernick a job. They need to do something about black ownership. I don't have a problem at all with the NBA because they have all those things in place. They have black coaches. They have black GMs. They have black ownership. Obviously the majority of the league is black. So I don't see any issues whatsoever, beyond symbolism whereby they can really support the efforts that are out there. But the NFL, I think that's a completely and totally different story. I think I'm tired of the words. They need to put forth action with regards to, again, Colin Kaepernick and all these other things.
Hey, Mike, here's a question for you, and I'll come to you, Wayne, in a second. Hey, Mike, here's a question for you as a Giants fan, New York Giants fan. What and this is not to slander the Giants because they do have more Super Bowl wins than the Eagles. But anyway, um, what do you think about
Really?
the Redskins name? And if the Redskins change their name, and we got 3 Redskin fans on this conference, do you think that was yeah?
Sorry to hear
Okay,
that.
Wayne, bite your tongue. If you're jealous, say you're jealous. All right, just get it out. Anyway, um, Mike, what do you think about the symbolism behind the Washington Redskins name? And do you think that if they change it, it would go towards healing of our nation?
I think it's a choice. Let the people vote. Let the fans vote on it, and then we'll see what happens.
And if I could just say something to that, if you're finished,
Yeah.
Mike, is that I think it's, it's symbol. It's a symbol, right? And that doesn't change how people feel about different things. So I don't know if I'm for it or against it. I'm against everything Redskins anyway. But what I'm saying is I think it's you got to change people's attitudes just to change a name and call it something. Yeah, the Wizards used to be the Bullets because that was too violent. You see what I mean? Like, what did that really do? You see what I'm saying? So that's my comment. Sorry.
Well, there is a section of the society that is offended by that name. I am a Washington Redskins fan. I've been a fan since 1972, but I believe strongly that the name needs to be changed. I recently went to Dallas for an away game, and I had my Redskin paraphernalia there. I was representing proudly, and I was actually called a racist to my face by some Native Americans that were basically protesting people that were en route to the game. And so that opened my eyes quite a bit because when you hear ownership talk about the name, they claim to have all this support from Native Americans, that they view this to be, something that they're proud of. But I saw it firsthand, face to face, that that's not the case. There are some people that are highly offended by the name, by the emblem, the whole 9 yards. And as a result of that, I think it needs to change.
And you know, Son Charles, you bring a great point because just south of where you grew up in Fort Washington is an area called Akakeek, and there are a bunch of Native Americans there, and I grew up with them attending high school, and they're very offended. You know, we've got the Piscataway tribe, we've got the Mattaponi tribes that are right here in Southern Maryland, and they're still offended by that name Redskin. So you know, that's something to look at. Um, and possibly, I don't know if the fans will get a vote. It's really the owner that has to make the change, and then the league has to approve it. But I think in our lifetime, it will change, and we'll just have to get new jerseys. But the team will still remain the same.
In the
Well,
record.
guys, anything else you want to talk about? You know, freestyle with regards to racism part two. Mike,
Um,
I'll go with you.
yeah, I would say one of my early, another encounter of moving to my lovely town was when I used to work the 4 to midnight shift, and I used to get off at midnight. It take me about 40 minutes to get home. And the first time I moved into the town that I moved into, I get off the highway, and I get off the highway, and I'm driving, and I get close to home, probably maybe about 5 blocks away from home, and the police pulled me over. And I said, can I help you, officer? Yeah, something's wrong with your back rear headlight. I'm like, no. He said, yeah, it was look like I said, it's not out, is it? He said, no, it looks a little darker than the other one. I'm like, so what's that supposed to mean? He's like, well, one side is bright red, one side is like a low red. I'm like, okay, so but it's still working, correct? He said, yeah. He said, well, you probably need to get that looked at. I said, yeah, sure thing. I'll be right on that. All right, have a good night, because it's, as you know, it's probably close to a little after midnight now, even more so. So I head home. I didn't think anything of it, but then the same thing happened the next night. I get pulled over. Can I help you, officer? Yeah. It looked like you veered a little bit. Veered where? I turned off the exit and drove down the road. Well, it looked like you changed lanes. I mean, you veered to the left. I said I did because I'm gonna turn left in probably like a half mile. Oh, okay. How's everything tonight? I'm like, good. I said, you see where I work at, right? Oh, I didn't see that. Oh no, you where you work? I work for the agency, whatever the case may be. He looked at it, but while he's doing that, he's looking in the back of my. It's a hatchback. It was a Honda hatchback at the time. He's looking in the back. I said, can I help you find something? He said, no, everything's good, sir. You have a good night. I said, do me a favor. I said, I told him what my name was. I said, my name is Mike Thickpen. I work for who I work for. I don't want to say the name. I said, I work 4 to midnight. I get off the highway the same time every night. If somebody stopped me tomorrow, it's gonna be a problem. I'm gonna come down to the station with my lawyer or whatever, because like I said, I'm like you. I work in the same environment you do. I don't know why people keep pulling me over. The same thing. No, it's not that issue, whatever. I said, no, listen, man, it's hard enough getting off at midnight, trying to drive home, and then get pulled over this is twice. I said, so let make sure you pass the message on to your friends, your coworkers, or whoever, however you do it. Let them know that Mike Thickpen lives on such and such. He gets off this time of night, because I usually try to time it just right. I said, please, let's not let this happen again. He said, yep, I'll be sure thing to pass on the word. Have a good night. And after that, I didn't have any problems after that. And of course my shift changed, but maybe 3 weeks later, but I didn't have any problem. But I think it's about how you conduct yourself. And how you deal with people. You look people in the eye, and they know you're not playing around. He knew what it was. He saw the uniform and everything else, but he tried to play it because I guess it didn't seem like it was at his level. Corrections and then police or whatever the case may be, or whatever you want to do it. But it was a white officer, and I tried to be as professional as possible. But I did let him know that, listen, I don't appreciate it if it keeps happening. I'm gonna go, and I didn't do anything out of the ordinary, and I did have my information ready if he wanted. But guess what? He didn't even ask for it. I had everything in the envelope ready. Because after that first night, I said, nah, I'm not going to play this game. I had everything ready for him. So the license, registration, DMV, emission check, you name it. I had a nice little juicy envelope. I was going to hand the whole thing to him. I wasn't going to separate nothing. I was going to say, here, take that with you, and let him look at it. And then let him, figure it out for himself. But I think that I think there's ways that you can talk to people and let them know that, listen, if I'm not doing anything wrong, I don't see what the problem is, and let's try to fix it so there's not any further issues. And like I said, after I said that to him, there was not any issue of me getting off at that time of night. And like I said, it was 3 weeks until I changed my shift, but I never had any problems after that, and I think it goes to just being confident about yourself and knowing what you're talking about, and like you said, being safe, so so you can live to fight another day. Thanks.
Yeah, and so Mike, if I could just, sorry, Steph, I was just gonna say, one of the other benefits that you had, like you said, was that
Right,
uniform.
right,
So he saw that, like so another person could say, he might not get that same love. Um, but just
right.
a thought,
No, no, no. You're
just
right.
a
No,
thought.
but there's times where I've known people in those circles, in the correction circle, they don't get that type of. It doesn't matter. You get pulled over. It depends on how you talk to somebody. If you're speeding, you might get some love. You might not. That professional courtesy, as they say, that doesn't always happen. That's at the discretion of that officer.
Agree.
Hey, Mike, I was thinking about the time we got pulled over and you pulled out your badge and got us out of the jam. We appreciate you, brother.
Hey, no problem, man. That's what we do. That's
No
what
matter,
brothers do.
yeah, because that was south of us down in in an island destination. But we'll talk about that at another show.
All right. We'll do that.
All right. Anybody else have anything before we do drop the mic?
And I have something that I wanted to bring up if no one else did, and this is Wayne, and I just wanted to just talk to, I think last time I talked a little bit about just growing up and different things in the retail space, but there's something else that I've noticed, and I don't want to get into it in too much detail because I think we've talked about a lot tonight, but um, the industry, you guys all know the industry that I work in. I work in consulting. And so I'm a software consultant and I work as a project manager. And that's what I've been doing for a bunch of years now. In my profession, I don't run into a lot of people, a lot of minorities. I just that do what I do. And it's not because it's hard. It's not because it's complicated. It's not you need special certifications. It's just they don't know about it. It's just kind of a weird thing. And they don't know about it because it's just not, they don't, a lot of these companies I know when I work for some of the bigger companies, they don't promote this in their colleges. They don't show up at those HBCUs to say, "Hey, what did you ever think about this? Or you ever think about this?" And so I just think that, and I'm not going to call that racism, but I think that there's just a point where people don't have access to the information to even know that it exists. Like I said, what I do is not all that special, but there's still not a lot of us in it. There just really isn't. It's kind of weird. Now, with that comes a lot of travel, and because of the travel, I deal with it. I deal with the airlines, the restaurants, the hotels, all that stuff. And as you travel around to different cities and different parts of the country, you see things that are different, right? Like one thing I learned at a hotel is that from another white consultant is that when you check into a hotel and you say that you just check into a hotel, you already got your rate, you got everything already figured out, that person who's checking you in has the ability to do a lot of different things for you. They can upgrade you without even thinking about it. They could give you a terrible, they know how their hotels laid out, they give you a terrible room, they give you a great room. They have that, they can do that. So what I was told to do is ask the question, because people just don't ask. So it's just kind of like, again, kind of like the consulting thing. It's just having information to even know that, you mean really I could get upgraded to a suite? That's a possibility. They look in their records and they see that no one has it for the nights that you're there and you've been coming for a while. Maybe they give it to you. But people don't even know to ask. So it's one of those things where you don't know what you don't know. So you see that in a lot of the industries. When you travel a lot, you start getting in the first class. You start getting looks when you get up there. Like, what are you doing up here? How you get up here? What you doing? It's just those little things. So I'm not saying this is racism, but you can see these. Everybody ain't happy walking past you to the back when they see you sitting up there with a drink in your hand.
Yeah, what
Just
everybody
saying.
everybody seems to think racism is the N word. It's a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah.
those intangibles. So yeah, racism is and it's funny. I hear these. I hate to give any shine. These Trump supporters. I've never heard the president say anything racist. Okay, well, have you not seen what he's done? All right, racism isn't always the N word. It's those intangible things. It's
Casual
it
racism. Casual.
right.
It's called casual racism.
Right. So
Yeah, well, like I'm talking about, you go to a restaurant, always getting seated next to the bathroom. What's that all about? You see what I mean? Like, there's nice restaurants. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of little stuff. But the last thing I want to say on this is that, one thing that I will tell you guys, I travel around to the country. I've been to a lot of places in this country that I would never have gone to on purpose. And the first thing I'm thinking when I land is, I hope there's some black people
Mhm.
here. I mean, I remember, I swear to God, I remember landing in Oklahoma City one time and saying, okay, there goes one,
Oklahoma got
and
the people.
and then, hey, man, and then Steph knows, I spent like 18 months in Pierre, South Dakota. Yeah, there wasn't none. There was none. But no, there wasn't none there. But there was Native Americans. Yeah. So basically, I'm just saying it's just something you want to get yourself into a comfortable space, and you're like, okay, if there's some here, that means they've seen us before, as opposed to, all right, you might be the first one. So it's just these little things that you just try to be aware of, and like I said, when you go into major metropolitan areas, not such a big deal, but when you go to some of these small places around the country, you get
Yeah,
surprised.
absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I tell you, gentlemen, this is great discussion. If we don't have any alibis, hey, gentlemen, great discussion today. At this time, what we'd like to do is just pass the mic around. The segment we call "Drop the Mic," and this is an opportunity for us to just get something off our chest. So, first up, Charles, would you like to drop the mic?
Yeah, I just want to continue along the lines of this discussion. I think it's been fantastic, all the examples that have been shared this evening. Eating while black, driving while black, being black while black. I mean, these are all issues that each of us has dealt with more than once, unfortunately.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Just Be a Man podcast. Be sure to check us out on social media at Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or YouTube, where you can follow, like, subscribe, and comment at Just Be a Man 2020. We will love to receive your feedback. Also, if there is a topic you would like us to discuss, please leave your suggestion in the comments. Remember to tune in next Wednesday for more meaningful discussion. Until then, we wish you peace and blessings.